Okay, quick update video for Ryan's notch. I know I just did a startup video the other day and everybody's like, that's my dream car or whatnot, so we got to make a nice update video. He actually sold his Nova and bought this as a roller and has done a ton of work to the roller. He wants to go fast, so here it is. And this is a 93 notch. You got it with the cage and everything, right?
Yeah.
And then you just did a bunch of mods.
I modified the cage.
Well, I'll do the front end first since we're here. It is a 403 stock LQ4 punched out tiny bit, cleaned up, and like a Cali's stroker assembly, right? Like regular off-shelf Summit one or whatever, right?
Texas Speed.
Texas Speed one, yeah.
It's a Texas Speed Cali's crank K1 or Cali's rods K1 crank and white steel pistons.
All the fanciness. And then these are twin on 3 7665s, and I thought this was really neat. These are aluminum Chinese intercooler piping, save weight for the downpipes. So this is mild steel, so it won't get melted off the 90, and then just clamped on intercooler piping. Awesome, works great. And then little V-band 38mm gates going into a 4-port, and then it has no intercooler in the front per se, but it has a 417 Motorsports sandwich in there, and he's got water lines and everything running down into the back of the trunk and everything. Like a conventional Corvette style alternator setup. I mean belt setup. It has the wider ATI and ARP. Is that an ATI or whatever? Summit. Oh, it's actually a Summit brand,
yeah,
but
cheapy.
Aftermarket balancer and everything. It actually has a blow-off valve, which, you know, keeps me awake at night, but that's fine. Stock coils and everything, of course. 80-pounders. He bought this intercooler. Well, you bought the intake, the upper, the lower, and the
whole thing together with the intercooler.
And just no throttle.
No throttle.
And no fuel rails.
Yeah,
he kind of skunked you on that. He was supposed to, and then he didn't. Yeah, and he took a while to ship it too and everything, but that's another story.
He came out of Canada. The guy was
yeah.
from Canada.
So he did the fuel rails and everything himself, which he did a hell of a job since nothing fucking leaks. And we went with the 80s that we always do. And this thing is running a China Ching Chong 92mm 4-bolt or whatever. And then it has the stock GM TPS and IAC, which has been working great. We were just setting them up. Manual brakes.
LSA head at that.
Oh yeah, square port cylinder head, sorry. This intercooler, well the whole setup was meant for square ports. So it's got square port LSA heads on it. You can see the 4-digit number instead of like 317s or 892s. It's nice. Got coilovers and tubular everything, suspension limiters and a bump steer kit, all that fancy shit I would never do. Nice overflow tank. He tilted the rad, cut it out a little bit, has some beast fucking derail fans in there with a shroud. And then he liked my race pack, so he bought one too. And this is nice. Which one is that? The that's a leash relay board, yeah, and then that
auto rod controls.
Auto rod controls.
Relay box. Yeah.
And then that goes to a switch panel up here. The auto rod thing interfaces with that. Has a chute mount. It's running the MS3 Gold Box from EFI Source, and then this is that Kilduff Shifter everybody enjoys, a lever. And it has a 4L80E and a Jake brake, right?
Yeah.
A Jake's brake. So it'll have a trans brake and everything. He's got the buttons in the steering wheel ready to rock.
PTC or
PTC, like a 10-inch, I think he said. And then the car was mini tubbed. These are like 325s and they fit back here no problem. It's insane. No problem.
Yeah.
And then this is a, you made this yourself, right?
Yeah, custom fuel tank.
Custom fuel tank. It has like a 5-gallon. This is the race cell. This is the pump gas cell, which is like diagonally cut into the ice box area. So this is like maybe 10 gallons, 15 gallons, 5 gallons kind of thing. Rough estimates.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the switch off and everything else over here. Other than that, that's pretty much the quick overview. I'm pretty excited to see how these twin turbos do. I mean, I've seen guys, we've all seen, I think that orange car that has twin 7665s, that guy supposedly makes 1100.
That was a 6-liter though. I think
Yeah, it was a stock LY6, I believe.
Yeah.
And that dude made a little bit over 4 digits. And I don't think it went like mid-8s, but it trapped pretty damn good. I was like, that's not that fast, but it threw down.
It had a brake.
I think it was foot brake and a TH400, so it really threw down up top is the main thing. And of course he's a fancy guy, so he welded all the AN lines on. Is that the Ford Windstar thing, or did you cut the neck and 45 it?
That's just, it's a
The
like
stock
regular
neck?
stock LS one.
You just
I
made
cut
it straight.
Yeah. That was actually on the Nova. It was left over.
That's awesome. And then these are, you can see these are actually support brackets that he welded little nipples and screwed into the turbo housings. So the turbos themselves, like you could jack up the car by the turbos. That's always nice. That's the kind of quality you see up here at the Whackshack, not at the Sloppy Mechanics garage. And then even like this rad support and shit, you could jack up the fucking car with that stuff. I would have.
It was Sloppy North.
Yes,
It was the
Sloppy North.
non-Sloppy North.
I would have a fucking flattened Coke can bolted to this, and you could just smush it, and it would be fine with me. So, but it'll be interesting. Maybe in a couple, he's got to get a windshield and some other shit and mess with some wires. But we're getting really far with getting some of the dash stuff configured and everything else, and it's starting and running good and sounding good. So it's close. So hopefully within 30 days he can make it to the dyno and we can start making some pulls. The only issue now is our weather outside is like 50 today, ice storms, and 8 degrees tomorrow. It's fairly inconsistent. So we'll mess with all of that, but other than that, there it is. I think you can see now. Yeah, you can see it, I think. Can you see he made a custom kick out on the oil pan? Holds 7 quarts. Stock truck pan, all nice and cut up. But that's it. It'll be neat to see. This will have the bump box, trans brake, everything controlled by the ECU, boost, everything. That'll be really neat to see. We can do progressive boost and everything, just like Mark's car. We're just going to steal all the settings, everything I learned from Mark.
We're probably going to do traction control on it too.
Yeah, wire and traction control, why not? So you can hit it hard and just let it dance off the traction control. Because this car has a tire, so you could just stay in it and just let the traction control work it out. But that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this. And don't tell me it's not intercooled. Everyone's like, oh shit, non-intercooled. That's like one of the first things everybody says because they just see the pipes in the front, which, I mean, classically you would be used to saying that, but ever since like 1320 video, you know, the crusty Nova and they shit made that thing famous. So it'll be neat to see. We were even thinking about doing, it has an IET sensor underneath or in the back. We're thinking about putting one in the neck of the throttle or down in here somewhere and measuring pre-intercooler and post-intercooler. But as soon as I thought about doing that, a bunch of guys on Sloppy were like, well, it knocks 125 degrees out of mine. It goes from 280 to 125 and other shit like that, 150, 160 degrees out. So I'm like, oh, well, that was the data I was going to look at anyway. I don't really care. So I'll just look at post, what actually is going into the intake.
I don't really care about if it's working or not.
Yeah. As long as the inlet temps aren't fucking lava, that's great. That's all we care about. So that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions about this quality piece here. Not a sloppy build.